Now to Afghanistan. The United States has launched airstrikes against ISIS targets in Afghanistan in retaliation for the Kabul airport terror attack. The suicide bombings killed more than 170 Afghans and 13 American soldiers. Among those who lost their lives was 23-year-old Nicole G. You can see her there holding a baby. Maxton Soviet, just 22 years old, also died, as did Riley McCollum, only 20. And Kareem Nikui, also just 20. These are all young, brave Americans with so much to live for and so much ahead of them. Kareem's father, Stephen, spoke of the heartbreaking moment the Marines visited his house and he learned his son had passed away.
As soon as I saw them turn the corner and saw it was 3 Marine suits, my life changed forever.
These were the first American deaths in Afghanistan in more than 18 months. We know Biden didn't see any of this coming. In fact, he said a Taliban takeover wouldn't happen.
The Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not.
Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
The extent of the incompetence in the American withdrawal is staggering. Not only did Biden not anticipate the Taliban takeover, but the US left $85 billion worth of military equipment there, some 75,000 vehicles, 200 aeroplanes and helicopters, and 600,000 weapons. The Taliban, as Michael McCall just said, now has better military equipment than Australia. And it'll be used not just by the Taliban, but it could fall into the hands of other even more dangerous terrorists as well. And we could all become the victims. Yet the United States gave details of American soldiers and other citizens that they plan to evacuate to the Taliban, trusting them.
They've now given the names of these Americans to the bad guys. This is incomprehensible. It reminds me of when President Biden gave the identity of our cyber risks to the Russians, right? This is naivete of Wilsonian proportions.
This ridiculous notion that the Taliban is suddenly moderate is absurd. The former head of British forces in Afghanistan, Colonel Richard Camp, says there's a reason Biden is pushing this narrative that the Taliban is the enemy of ISIS-K.
There is a narrative that they are the bitter enemies of the Taliban and the Taliban are going to deal with them. And I think this narrative is intended to take the heat off Joe Biden for his effective empowerment of the Taliban.
And the reality is there are now 2 terrorist forces at play in Afghanistan, the barbaric Taliban, or elements of it, and ISIS-K. And now the White House is warning there will be more airstrikes, and the US is bracing for more terror attacks. You can just imagine the families of the US soldiers who are still now in Afghanistan. This withdrawal has been a spectacular failure. The American soldiers that had remained in Afghanistan before this were effectively a peacekeeping force, keeping the terrorists at bay and keeping the rest of the world safe. Now the Taliban has easily seized power with barely any objection from Biden, and the terrorists are stronger than ever, armed with their powerful American weapons.